Hi, it's me, and this is the first proper built from scratch video after the introduction. So, I think I wrapped up the intro by saying that I'd be moving on to a bit of written content creation, essentially, next, which has turned out to be wrong, because what I've actually got to do first is figure out how to deal with these videos that I'm making, which is proving to be no simple task, especially since not only am I hoping to make these videos, but I'm planning on having a go at turning them into a podcast and written content as well, all just off this same video, but sort of disseminating it through those extra channels. So there's a fair bit of work to be done there. So I haven't done any writing yet, and in fact I can imagine it's going to be another day or two until I do get around to that, but that's fine. I think this is worth doing. I think it's worth putting a little bit of time into, and I have already made a bit of progress. So what I have actually done with regards to this yesterday is I downloaded a video editing piece of software that I don't think I mentioned previously, called OpenShot. It's open source software, so it's free, and it's kind of, I think, medium level video processing software, video editing I mean. And also, as part of using that, I downloaded something called Blender, which helps with animations. So I used that to make the title for the introduction video, and then just also stitch the shorter pieces of that video together. I'm hoping that these videos going onwards will mostly be single takes, which means there will probably be a bit of umming and ahhing, which it's just not worth trying to cut out. I think the time that I would spend doing that doesn't really justify the benefit, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll just have to see about that. So I made the title, and then actually had to redo it because it had come out at slightly the wrong width. It was kind of wider than the screen, and in so doing I realised that processing these videos is going to be a little bit tricky using the pair of computers that I've got, because they're both 7 years old. I bought both of them second hand, actually, from a company called Tier 1 Online, who I highly recommend if you want a quality refurbished computer. I like the fact that you can buy computers that sell for maybe a couple of £1,000 brand new for sort of £300 or £400 when they're maybe sort of 4-5-ish years old, and they will also add new upgraded pieces of equipment to them if you want. So you can add RAM, solid state drives, that kind of stuff, and you get a great product for a knockdown price. Having said that, it means that both my desktop and laptop are now 7 years old, and this is the first use that they've ever been put to that requires some serious kind of processing power, and making that animated title and then having to remake it proved their limitations, in that both of them crashed repeatedly trying to do it. Thankfully the desktop rather less than the laptop, to the point where it is going to be usable, but also they just took a long time to render that animation, like in the region of I think it was about 20 minutes just to make that. So I spent a bit of time yesterday researching better computers to buy, but decided that's not actually something I need to do at the moment. I am going to be able to manage, so we'll see how we go. That's going to go in the category of spending, which I think quite a lot of things are going to be added to, which is if you start making a little bit of money from this, you will be able to justify spending those sorts of amounts. But for the time being, I'm just going to use what I've got. So yeah, I edited the introductory video together and then watched it and thought it was acceptable. I then rendered the entire video and compressed it using Handbrake, which again took a long time. The rendering, I think it was like half an hour, the compression with Handbrake about another half an hour, and then uploaded it to YouTube, which took another chunk of time. And it did make me realise that this stuff is not simple, making these videos, or rather it's time consuming. So I think the plan is to do the initial recording and, well, no, sorry, record it on the camera, obviously, do the initial editing on my desktop, which is quite a quick job, or I think it will be when I get used to it. But then I bought a card reader because the plan then is to take... Oh, sorry, that's nonsense. I bought a card reader as a quicker way of getting the recording from the camera onto my desktop. But the plan is going to be to, once I've edited the video, to stick it onto my laptop to do those other rendering and uploading stages, so that can just sit there in the background doing it whilst I get back to my desktop to do other tasks, because I definitely cannot afford to spend an hour and a half or whatever it would be per day just waiting for my computer to finish doing what it's doing. So I uploaded that first video to YouTube and did the a quick bit of metadata, essentially the title that you can import, which I assume is an important part of what gets videos found on YouTube, and the description, and a couple of other bits and pieces that it forces you to choose between. I don't have the time to do any kind of keyword research around these videos at the moment, so I am either not going to do it at all, or just very quickly do things off the top of my head based on what I suspect might be a worthwhile keyword, which will only last for so long. I think, using my imagination, I'll run out of things that seem worth writing fairly soon, but for now, as I'm just trying to blast through the first few weeks and just get things moving, that will have to do. So I think I made the title of the introductory video something like Built from Scratch Introduction, how to build a business up from nothing. It's whether that's a good title or not, I don't know, but I think it's certainly better than just calling it Built from Scratch Intro. So once that was done, I moved on to getting the video onto my website, because that is the basic plan, is to use YouTube's huge volume of traffic to see if there is an audience for these videos, but then to actually show them on my website too, with a hope of finding a way of building a bit of an audience, or, well, actually more importantly, trying to get a few links out of that. I've got some thoughts in my head about how I might deal with that in the future. For example, if a few people do start watching these videos, I might stop hosting them all on YouTube and put a limited amount just on the website to force some people to visit the website itself. Possibly actually do some slightly diversified videos, for example, interviews, or, I don't know, other kinds of content. So I essentially have two channels and perhaps host just one of those channels on the website. So there are, I think, ways of getting a bit more value out of doing this, but they are to be experimented with later. Yeah, so the first thing I did was had a look for a plugin in WordPress which would help me with the layout of the page in which I want to display all of these videos. I came across one called Content Views, which looked good, but as I started testing it, I sort of got naturally drawn into the issue of how YouTube videos actually display on a website, and which is basically good, but comes with the specific issue of YouTube recommending videos at the end of your video. This is probably something you've seen whenever you watch a video in YouTube. You get to the end of it and a grid of, I think it's normally 9 recommendations will come up, and they will be based on your previous viewing history. So I really don't want that on my site. It's likely to mean some people who find their way to these videos make it to the end, and then suddenly they're shown a page full of maybe the music videos they were watching last night or whatever, and they get distracted and never come back. So I researched it a bit and found that up until 2018, so that's 2 years ago now, there was a fairly simple way of dealing with it, which is that you could add into the code that you use to embed the video into your website just a few characters, well, specifically question mark rel equals 0, and if you added that to the code, it would stop it showing any recommended videos. However, YouTube understandably decided to get rid of that a couple of years ago, because they want people to use more of their service, and they want people to see recommended videos, of course. So they changed it in such a way that it does still work, but it means but recommended videos will be shown, but they'll only be videos from your channel, whichever YouTube chooses to recommend out of those. Which sounded like a good enough solution to me. I don't really mind people being shown other videos if they're all from this channel. That's okay. So I gave that a go. It took a little bit of figuring out how to get that to work, because in WordPress's Gutenberg editor there is a block set up for embedding YouTube videos, so naturally I used that to start off with, and it just uses the URL of the YouTube video, and it took me a little while to figure out that if you do that, there is no way of adding this rel equals 0 code, and what you actually have to do is get the iframe code from the YouTube vid, which I don't know enough about software development to really understand the difference there. I just know it looks different, and the iframe code allows you to add the rel equals 0. So I did that, and to be honest, weird, I don't know why this is the case, but it seems that actually, rather than just working in that limited way, that actually seems to be working in the pre-2018 way. I've tested it, and all that happens now if you watch one of these videos on Wavetiller is it just gets to the end of the video and freezes and just asks if you want to replay the video. So that is potentially really good. So yeah, I finished that off and got back to the design of the vlog page, the videos page, whatever I'm going to call it. I then messed around a bit with that content views plugin, and also tried the built-in Gutenberg latest posts block. I actually preferred the way the Gutenberg option looked. And content views, like a lot of plugins, had various features within it that you have to pay for if you want to start using them, and there's a very good chance that I would have wanted to use some of those features in the end and would have had to pay for them, which is potentially fine. I don't mind paying for things that I need, but again, at the moment I'm trying to keep things fairly lean and cheap, so I decided to get rid of that. But whilst messing around with those blocks, I also just started feeling like the site layout that I've chosen from within the Generate Press theme is just not that great. I don't love the way it looks. Certainly, I was checking it out on mobile earlier today, and it looks fine on that, but on desktop or on a monitor, it's got a fairly thin width of text area, which has like a frame around it, and I just don't love the way it looks I don't mind having a thin area of text. In fact, that's kind of a good thing. It can look ridiculous if you've got text going right the way across a wide screen. But I'd much rather it was not visually defined. So it was just, you're looking at a big white screen and there's just text in the sort of central half of it, maybe. Anyway, whatever. I'm going on a bit too much. The point is, I might consider today or tomorrow having a bit of a reconsideration. Not of theme. I'm definitely happy with Generate Press. But Generate Press comes with this library of about, I'm going to guess something like 30 site layouts, which all look significantly different. I checked through them all before deciding to use the one called Marketer. But I'm going to have another check now to see if there's one I might now prefer now that I've started actually messing around with it a little bit. The good thing is at the moment I've done little enough with the site that if I do change that site layout, it is not going to destroy a great deal of work, just an hour or two, which I can hack that. With regards to that issue, I did send a message to Generate Press support asking if it's possible to copy individual page layouts from one of their site layouts to another of their site layouts. That's because, as I briefly mentioned in my introductory video, I did set up a sort of little side consultancy project site over the last few weeks, and that, whilst it's not suitable for what I'm trying to do with Wavetother, it was a really nice looking site, and specifically the blog posts page looked exactly like I would like this videos posts page to look. So I'm going to check whether they've got back to me in a minute, and if they have and they say yes, it's quite easy to do that, that would be the perfect solution, because I think if I can just make that page look okay in this site, then I am actually acceptably happy with the way the rest of it looks to just carry on. So we'll see about that. Okay, so wow, 17 minutes. Interesting. These videos are meant to be quick. 17 minutes is quite long. I'm just going to carry on though, doing what I'm doing, because it might be that this stage of the project is ridiculously hectic. There's so much to learn, and I'm just trying to sort of hack my way through it quickly, and not get too bedded down. It means that at the moment, if I do just literally 2 or 3 hours work, that gives me all this time in which it takes this long just to talk about it. So I'm just going to go along with that for a while. I suspect, and I kind of hope, for the sake of being able to do the built from scratch project without it taking up too much time, I hope that a couple of weeks from now things will settle down, and I'll find that sort of 5 to 10 minutes is enough to cover the relatively simple, repetitive, boring stuff I've been doing during the day. Especially since I do want to make this a bit of a narrative of a person setting up a business. I don't want it to be just a sort of dry account of what I've done for the last day or half a day. Speaking of which, I mentioned half a day because I'm actually considering doing this twice a day, which will help, of course, with keeping the length of the videos short. And it will also help me to remember off the top of my head, without requiring notes, what I've actually been doing for the last period of time. So I might do this twice a day. Which brings me to, is there anything else to talk about? Well, I'm just going to briefly mention that it's a Saturday today. I won't be doing this very often, if at all, but it's happening today because my wife, Jenny, has got her sister visiting for the weekend, and her mum's also available to help with looking after the kids. So that's what's happening today. She's taken the boys off to her mum's house and they're all looking after them together, which means I have got the day to myself, I've got the day to myself kind of on the condition that I do some work. I don't think it'll go down too well if I just said I was going to sit around and watch videos all day. But that's fine with me because I am very much into doing this at the moment. If you gave me a completely free day off, I would probably sit here and do this just at the moment anyway, out of choice. So that's that. I'm going to crack on now. I've got quite a few hours left ahead of me today. But you know what? I'm not going to sit here and predict what I'm going to do during those hours, because who knows? There's too much going on at the moment, so I'll just have to see what I'm talking about in the next video. Okay, see you later.